The happy world of Mario is about to be dragged into hell. This time we'll be looking at Resident Evil 3, specifically the remake. And Jill won't be the one going through everything, and not Luigi either. This time, it's Princess Peach. Today we'll throw Peach into the plot of Resident Evil 3 and seeing if she can make it through everything and escape Raccoon City alive. Peach is used to having giant monsters chase after her, but this next monster doesn't care for marriage, it's after death. So as for what incarnation of Peach I'll be using, it'll be the Peach from Princess Peach Showtime. That being said, if you don't want spoilers for either RE3 or Showtime, it would be best to finish those first and come back later. As for who Princess Peach is, I would be amazed if someone didn't know her, but in short, she's the princess of the Mushroom Kingdom and has joined with Mario on other adventures before. And now with Princess Peach Showtime, she's added new equipable costumes with a wide variety of powers to her repertoire. Those costumes would be Cowgirl Peach, which gives Peach access to a lasso for grabbing most things big and small and hurling them anywhere she wants. Sword Fighter Peach, which causes her to become an expert swordsman. Baker Peach becomes an easy bake oven. Ninja Peach can become stealthy and has kunais for weapons. Figure Skater Peach spins. Mermaid Peach can control other sea creatures with her singing voice. Detective Peach makes her big brain. Dashing Thief Peach is who I refuse to believe wasn't inspired by Persona 5, and this costume enables her to crack computer locks and tether all over the place. Kung Fu Peach becomes, well, a master at Kung Fu. And Mighty Peach, she becomes a superpowered superhero complete with super strength and a rocket pack. Each of these outfits allow Peach to perform special techniques to aid her in battle, platforming, or puzzle solving. These outfits are achieved with Stella's help. Who is Stella exactly? She's a sparkle sprite of the Sparkle Theater who accompanies Peach on her adventure. Stella also enables Peach to use her other abilities in her base form, which can heal people who have been hurt and can cause enemies to flee when touched by Peach's sparkle ribbon. With that breakdown out of the way, time to jump into the nightmare. So Peach will be relaxing in her room with Stella. The two were visiting Raccoon City because they heard it had a great theater and wanted to check it out. Peach wakes up from her nap because she's hearing a lot of sirens from outside her window, and on her desk is a note from Luigi that detailed his adventures at the mansion from last year. Peach then heard her phone ring and went to answer it. She picked up and she heard Luigi's voice. He told her, "You gotta leave the city now, princess. Umbrella sent." That's when Nemesis would break through the wall like a horrible zombified Kool-Aid man. Nemesis knocked Peach to the ground and Stella helped Peach up. After seeing Stella, Nemesis's prime directive kicked in. He uttered to them. Peach and Stella were terrified and tried to use the Sparkle Ribbon's power on it to make Nemesis flee. Now this wouldn't work on Nemesis. While we do see the ribbon achieve this on the enemies in Princess Peach Showtime, those beings are clearly capable of having emotions and function like normal people would, having both thoughts and feelings. Nemesis is anything but normal. He's an experiment that, yes, is capable of thinking more complexly than one of the other regular zombie enemies, but he's not empathetic towards anything and shows no signs of having complex emotions. He's programmed with this singular task to wipe out stars and anything that gets in the way. So because his brain works differently, the Sparkle Ribbon's power wouldn't cause him to be affected and force him to flee from Peach. With that option gone and Nemesis inching closer, Peach would transform into Ninja Peach, and while in this form, she has access to essentially substitution jutsu. She would teleport away from Nemesis and make a run for it. Nemesis, being the clingy type, would keep up the chase, and that's when Peach and Stella would take the offensive. Peach would transform into Mighty Peach and brawl it out with Nemesis in his first form. Could Mighty Peach pull this off though? We know Nemesis's endurance is next level. This monster survives beatings from so many things, being thrown off a roof with a car, acid, and explosions. Comparing just physical strength though, we know Nemesis can flip cars, and Nemesis should be stronger than Mr. X, who could casually push a downed helicopter out of the way. As for Peach, she has been shown to throw buses and giant UFOs around, and has hard-hitting punches. If we take a look at her suit though, we see a blue energy comes from her fists. Since her suit was scientifically designed, it could be a form of energy manipulation that allows her to achieve such feats. The average transit bus can weigh anywhere between 15,000 kilograms to 25,000 kilograms, and Peach throws those around and can lift them over her head in this outfit. While I was trying to find an official weight for Nemesis, the closest thing I could get would be from wikis, and people estimate between 500 to 600 pounds is how much Nemesis weighs. This means Peach should be able to pick up and throw Nemesis around. Even if we had Nemesis in a higher weight class, Peach should still be able to pick him up and throw him, as his weight still wouldn't match that of a bus. Regardless, this could be a double-edged sword for Peach. Because of Nemesis's tentacles, if Peach were to hang on to him and start spinning to throw him, the tentacles could pierce her chest and impale her, so she would have to be careful when throwing him around. As the two trade blows with each other, Peach would grab Nemesis's arm and throw him into the street on top of an oil tanker. As she looked over the edge to see if Nemesis was dead, she saw the massacre ensuing, with zombies eating anyone they catch and people turning into zombies from being infected. Now, Peach could just fly away in her mighty suit, but she wouldn't want to abandon innocent people if she knew she could help and save a few of them. That's when she would notice a man on his own fighting off some zombies. Peach would fly down and help him. He said his name was Carlos and that they were trying to help a few people escape by using the subway system. Peach followed him and agreed to help. There she met the rest of Carlos's team, Mikhail, Nikolai, and Tyrell. They told Peach to get the train up and running, they had to turn the power back on, so Peach decided she would go and turn it on herself. Nikolai didn't like Peach because of her bright optimism, and he hated Stella and thought what an annoying creature with a stupid smiley face. As Peach went to turn the power on, she would encounter many zombies. The normal zombie enemies would be easy for Peach to dispatch. With a myriad of cars all over the city, she could just chuck them at the zombies even if they came at her in big groups. And since she could fly, she could essentially avoid most of the enemies in RE3 without much effort. Next, she would find the generators in what looked like a small cave. This place is home to the Drain Deimos enemy. This enemy can kill you in two different ways. The first is by just attacking you until you take enough damage and die. The second is much more gross. If you've ever seen Alien, you know what I'm talking about. It can shove a tube down your throat and implant an egg that will hatch after a short period of time. It's basically a face hugger, but with a way shorter duration. Now, Peach could use many of her different costumes here, and most of them could get the job done quickly. Her best costume for the situation would probably be the sword fighter option. The reason for this being she could dodge and counterattack anything the bugs throw at her. In this outfit, Peach's reflexes are through the roof, and she can counterattack after dodging to instantly kill her foes. And the bugs aren't very durable. They go down very easily when Jill attacks them, so Peach would be safe here. After flipping all of the switches and heading to the control room, Nemesis would attack Peach again. Peach's priority would be to get to the control room and not to duke it out with Nemesis again. She would switch to her dashing thief outfit and shock Nemesis with her tether. As we see in Peach's game, it can shock enemies with an electric strain passing through it, and we know in RE3 Nemesis will be paralyzed for a short time when he gets shocked. She would quickly make her way there and make a route for the train. On the way back to the station, Peach would be chased by Nemesis yet again. Carlos would tell Peach to come with him, but Peach needed to make sure the bystanders and others were safe, and it was after her and Stella, not them. While maintaining her dashing thief mode, Peach would run and lure it away from them until she makes her way into the sewer system. There, the enemies she would have to defeat are the Hunter Gammas. She would have to be careful not to get in too close or this would happen to her. There are a couple ways for Peach to get around the Hunter Gammas. One, using her cowgirl outfit to wrangle them up from a distance and then throw them into each other. We've seen Peach throw heavy objects while in the cowgirl outfit before, so this would work on the Hunter Gammas, and because she's launching her rope from far away, they wouldn't be able to devour her. The other option, and my personal favorite, is to use her bakery outfit and make some delicious cookies. She could bait the Gammas into opening their mouths and throw a large portion of cookies in, and as they chew chew on their deliciousness, she could run around them. Peach's home-baked cookies are so good that even enemies can't help but admit how amazing they taste. As she makes it out of the sewer system, she would have to get to the rooftop for a battle with Nemesis. Now for this fight, Nemesis has a flamethrower. It can shoot a stream of fire, or he can aim it into the air and have fireballs rain over most of the area. He could also just caveman it and hit Peach with it too. Peach could use her ninja outfit and hit the tank on his back with her kunais, when Nemesis has to stop and fix the flamethrower, and after a few rounds of this, it would then explode on his back. Once Nemesis falls to his knees from the explosion, she could equip her mighty suit and Nemesis would go down after a few punches to the face. After landing back on the street level, Peach would try to fly back to the station, but she'd be knocked to the ground by an explosion. As she turned around, she would see Nemesis was still alive. With her rocket damaged, Peach would have to run back to the station instead of fly. Now, Ninja Peach would probably be the best outfit to pick for this next situation. She would be able to avoid Nemesis's rockets by running along the walls of the alley, and also if the rockets got anywhere near her, she could just substitute away from them. As she maintained her distance from Nemesis, Carlos would then help her and they would have gotten away from Nemesis. Carlos would then tell her to board the train out of town, and then she did, with both Mikhail and Nikolai on the train as well. Nikolai would start to tell her about how she should only look out for herself, and if things got rough, she should run and leave Stella behind. Peach thought Nikolai was acting strange and was fixated on Stella, even though he would always badmouth her. This caused Peach to go into her detective mode and analyze him. Nikolai was cracking under the pressure from her detective ability, and just as he started to talk, Nemesis boarded the train. Nikolai ran, leaving Peach and Mikhail to die, and that's when Mikhail, just like in the other timeline, blew himself up to help Peach escape. After Peach and Stella wake up from the crash, they would make their way outside and tell Carlos over their radio that Nikolai betrayed them, and that's when Nemesis would attack again. This time he would be in his second form. Now, normally for this fight, Jill has to use her sticky mines to knock Nemesis off from where he's running, then attack the exposed area of his chest until he goes down, all while dodging his melee attacks. Peach could use her Mighty Peach outfit and pick up the surrounding vehicles and toss them at Nemesis, doing blunt force damage to him, until he begins to run around the area. Now, Peach doesn't have sticky mines to blow Nemesis off from the buildings and cars, but she does have an alternate way of getting Nemesis off the walls and cars. This is when she would turn into her baking outfit and put cream and baking mix on the walls and cars, and while Nemesis runs, he would slip off the terrain and fall onto the ground with his chest area exposed. Or, if you want the less fun option, she could just time her throws on the cars to knock Nemesis over. Once Nemesis was on the ground with his chest area exposed, she could use her power suit and punch the crap out of it and do major damage, or she could even try and tear it out of Nemesis. After that, Nemesis would fall and Peach would be victorious, and unlike before when Jill gets stabbed because she couldn't see Nemesis's final attack coming, Peach would dodge it with her Swordmaster dodging ability and then cut the gate and Nemesis would faint. Now, because of Peach not getting knocked out, she could radio Carlos and they would meet up at the hospital and go through it together to find Nathaniel Bard, no relation. Instead of looking for the tape recorder to open the door, Peach would just break it down and they would find Bard dead. They would then find the vaccine Bard had hidden away, and they would keep it on them as they escaped the hospital. But that's when the horde of zombies would appear, and they would be forced to fight them off. And not just normal zombies, but the Hunter Betas would appear as well. The Hunters are weaker than the ones in RE1, as their biology was tampered with to have them become more agile and faster, but it sacrificed their offensive power. Regardless, Peach and Carlos would still have to be wary. There are pillars in the main lobby, so Kung Fu Peach is the perfect choice for this fight. In this mode, Peach can swing around on a pillar and instantly kick anything she comes into contact with into oblivion. As they crowd around her, she would jump and instantly start killing the surrounding zombies. After the zombies were done for and the explosion that was set off covered the door, Tyrell would then say he was in contact with government officials on the outside and they planned to destroy Raccoon City to stop the spread of the virus. However, they said if they can bring a vaccine, they might hold off on destroying the city. After that, the three of them would head underground into the main lab where Umbrella's entire facility was being kept. There, Nikolai would stop them by turning off the the power, but lucky for Peach, she doesn't need the elevator to get up to him. Peach could just wall jump in her ninja outfit to get to the top, but first she would throw Carlos and Tyrell up to keep them safe from the zombies by using her Mighty Peach costume. Nikolai would run farther into the lab to try and escape them. As the three of them chased after Nikolai in the hallway, that's when Nemesis would attack yet again. He would sneak attack them and then use his tentacles to impale Tyrell. Carlos and Peach would run and then shut the door behind them, making sure Nemesis couldn't follow. After that, they would go through the lab, defeating a few of the regular zombies and Pale Heads. Pale Heads would be more of a pain because they would be able to regenerate damage done to them. That's why they can only be killed when they receive a massive amount of damage quickly. The other way for Peach to get around them would be to allow herself to be pulled in and then stab them in the head with a kunai. While stuck in their regen mode, she could quickly get past them. Peach would also go into the room with all the tyrants. There, she would remember how Luigi mentioned these things and how frightening they were to defeat. She would then be attacked by hunters. Peach could use the Swordmaster outfit to counter their agility with hers and stab them through the head while in mid-jump. After scouring the lab and creating a new vaccine, Peach would be attacked by Nemesis again. Stella would tell Peach, "Won't this thing ever stay down?" Nikolai would then appear and tell Peach about how Umbrella heard about Mario's brother doing what he did to the mansion, and knew Peach was close to him and had attained new powers. Umbrella was interested in Peach's new sparkle powers and wanted to incorporate those same powers into their bioweapons. They needed data on both her and how Nemesis could handle those powers. Peach used her ribbon power on Nikolai and he dropped his gun and began to run away, but he tripped and fell into the pit unconscious. Peach jumped down to get him because even though he was a bad person, she couldn't just let someone die. That's when Nemesis would attack Peach. Now for this fight, the way to damage Nemesis is to avoid his attacks and the surrounding zombies. Then when he jumps away, you activate the switches, which sends an electrical surge out, damaging Nemesis, and just like before, you attack his exposed area. This fight would play out very similarly to Peach's last bout with Nemesis, where she attacks his chest when he falls. For Peach to activate the switches, she could use her dashing Thief Peach outfit and use her tether on the electrical device that Nemesis is hiding behind and create the same effect Jill would. This fight would be pretty simple for Peach due to her powers that work perfectly in this environment. After a few hits of this, Nemesis would fall yet again. After the fight, Carlos would use the acid in the room to kill Nemesis once and for all. But before it gets Peach and Nikolai, Peach would grab Nikolai and tether up to safety. That's when Nikolai would grab his concealed gun and point it at the back of Peach's head. That's when he would tell Peach before he pulled the trigger, "Your compassion is a weakness that I warned you about." That's when Stella would come up behind Nikolai and use her ribbon power, but as they balanced over the acid, Nikolai would run and fall right in. He'd melt away while cursing Peach and Stella. With the newly created vaccine and the one from Bard's office in both Peach and Carlos's hands, they would run to the roof where Carlos said a helicopter was waiting for them. But Nemesis would break through the wall and Peach would tell Carlos to go on without her, and she would handle this. Now the final battle would commence. Now this battle is a bit tricky. Nemesis has a huge range for melee attacks and also spits acid. The way Jill damages him is to use the railgun in the room to shoot him for big damage, then after firing one shot, it would need to be repowered by placing the capsules back into their respective positions, and then just rinse and repeat until Nemesis is killed. Now Peach could do this and it would be faster for her than when Jill did it. Because of her superpowered suit, pushing the capsules back in would be easy for her, and it would just take a second to do it. So Nemesis wouldn't be able to hit her before the power supply got reconnected. And picking up the railgun would be easy for Peach despite its weight. So that's one way to defeat Nemesis. The other way would be for Peach to use her Radiant Peach mode. In this mode, Peach would be able to attack Nemesis at long range with the power of Sparkle and could shoot beams at the exposed areas on Nemesis's body. She can also fly in this mode while shooting her attacks. This would make avoiding Nemesis's moves very easy for Peach. The power of Radiant Peach is actually very strong. If Peach made sure to keep up a frontal assault, she would be able to completely disintegrate Nemesis. She used this power on Madame Grape and she was completely obliterated. While the railgun could destroy a giant chunk of Nemesis, Peach's power should be able to disintegrate Nemesis's entire body and leave nothing left. After a few blasts, Nemesis would finally, and I do mean finally, be killed once and for all. Now, Peach and Carlos would get to the helicopter, but the government would have already launched the missile at Raccoon City. They didn't care that they had the vaccine, it was too late in their eyes. There were too many infected. Peach wept, thinking about how she could have done more to save more people, but Carlos told her she did more than enough, and that the vaccines they had would save more lives down the line. Peach, Stella, and Carlos boarded the helicopter, and Peach watched in sadness as Raccoon City was destroyed. She could only imagine what the virus could do to the rest of the world and the Mushroom Kingdom if it ever did spread. So could Peach survive Resident Evil 3? Of course. Peach's variety of powers that she gained on her adventure in Princess Peach Showtime help her to accomplish many goals Jill struggled with, and rather easily. And while Nemesis was a foe to be reckoned with, Peach had the superior firepower, agility, and skill set to counter Nemesis in all of their battles. Peach had powers to spare, and when combining two franchises like this, sometimes one overpowers the other. While Resident Evil is based much in science, Peach's are based much more in magic. And well, the zombies in Resident Evil weren't equipped to handle Peach and Stella's magic, that's for sure. But what do you think? Do you think this would have played out differently? Let me know. On the upside, Peach now has something in common with Luigi to talk about, and someone else definitely was interested in the data on Luigi and Peach. But as for now, Peach and Stella could kick back, relax, and tell their story to Mario, because who knows what's in store for our heroes next time. Thanks for watching and listening to me, Nathan out. Thanks for watching the video, and if you enjoyed it, check out my other Resident Evil videos on screen now. And I hope everyone else is enjoying the spooky month. Whether it's watching scary videos or playing scary games, enjoy the frights, and I'll see you guys in the next video.